Sports is a business, so you gotta understand it's not personal, it's more business, and you gotta be able to produce. When you stop producing, then it's like, what are you around for? So you gotta always keep that first and understand that. What's up, it's Shedeur Sanders, and I'm standing on business.
Shedeur Sanders is back in the headlines. This time, not just for his performances under center, but for the brand storms swirling around him. Recently, his appearances draped in Nike gear have sparked intense speculation. To many, it looked like a casual choice. But insiders confirm it was anything but coincidence. In fact, Adidas had been the first to knock on his door, eager to tie their logo to the rising quarterback. Talks fizzled, momentum stalled, and that's when Nike pounced. The swoosh didn't just sign Sanders. They secured a long-term vision. Quietly, Sanders had already been part of the Nike family for over a year. But 2025 changed everything. Now, with his emergence as Cleveland's most polarizing player, that contract has exploded in value. His growing spotlight, the cultural buzz, and his unique position as both a quarterback and a symbol of generational change have transformed this partnership into one of Nike's boldest bets yet. This isn't just an endorsement, it's a signal. Nike is wagering that Shedeur Sanders isn't only a football story. He's a cultural movement in the making.
What's up, it's Shedeur Sanders, and I'm standing on business.
Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing the NFL game. He's rewriting the rulebook on what it means to be a modern athlete. When he walked into camp, casually draped in Nike gear, it wasn't a fashion choice. It was a signal. Sanders had already made history as the first player to sign a groundbreaking endorsement contract before ever taking a snap in the league. The initial number, $125 million, was jaw-dropping. He hadn't played a single down, hadn't thrown a single touchdown in the NFL. Yet Nike was willing to stake their claim on him before the ink on his draft card had even dried. Then came the moment that changed everything. The second Sanders suited up for his first preseason game, Nike triggered the active player clause in his contract. Just like that, the deal doubled, catapulting his earnings to an eye-watering $250 million over 4 years. To put that in perspective, he's now guaranteed more endorsement money than many first-round picks will see in their rookie contracts. And he isn't stopping there. By securing 50% control of his jersey sales, Sanders has positioned himself to become the highest-paid rookie in NFL history, outpacing names like Cam Ward and Travis Hunter before he's even cemented his role on Cleveland's depth chart. But Sanders' empire extends beyond the swoosh. He's building a portfolio, an apparel line with his name stamped across it, a barbecue sauce brand that ties into his Southern roots, a lucrative endorsement with EA Sports, and perhaps most notably, a partnership with Tom Brady's brand that alone brings in $75 million annually. For Sanders, it's all part of the same philosophy. Dominate between the hash marks and dominate just as fiercely in the marketplace. What we're watching isn't just a quarterback preparing to lead a franchise. It's a young athlete transforming into a brand powerhouse, a dual force of athletic talent and entrepreneurial vision. And in today's NFL, that combination may prove just as valuable as his arm.
What's up, it's Shedeur Sanders, and I'm standing on business.
So, what's the real engine driving Shedeur Sanders' meteoric rise? It all comes down to 2 words: prime equity. This isn't just a clever branding trick. It's a revolutionary clause engineered by none other than Deion Sanders himself. While most rookies enter the league shackled by contracts that hand image rights to the team, prime equity flips the script. Traditionally, franchises pay millions for the athlete, but in return, they control how that player is marketed. Every photo shoot, every endorsement, every commercial, teams have the final say, and athletes are forced to split the earnings. For most players, it's simply the cost of doing business. But Deion Sanders, a Hall of Famer who lived through the pitfalls of that system, wasn't about to let his son fall into the same trap. With prime equity, Shedeur owns his image outright. He doesn't need permission to wear Nike, to sign with Brady, or to launch his own apparel. Every dollar flows directly through him. Every decision remains in his hands. It's an unprecedented level of autonomy for a player this early in his career, and the results speak for themselves. Endorsements that would normally be funneled through the team are instead locked in a Sanders growing empire. From apparel to video games, from food brands to global sports partnerships, Prime Equity ensures that Shedeur can build his legacy on and off the field simultaneously. This isn't just a contract clause, it's a blueprint. A mechanism that could alter the balance of power between athletes, franchises, and corporate giants for years to come. And right now, Shedeur Sanders is the face of that revolution.
Appreciate y'all, bro. Hold on real quick.
Hey, Joe Flacco ain't shit.
Nah, bro, the back of my man, bro.
Yeah, but I like Shedeur more though, you feel me?
Yeah, that's my man, bro.
Hey, you take it easy though,
No,
boss.
appreciate y'all, bro. Let me see y'all.
Yeah.
Definitely.
You might be stunned by the numbers, but for Shedeur Sanders, this is simply the new reality. The fifth-round pick whom many analysts doubted would ever crack a starting lineup is now rewriting the economics of being a rookie. Before even stepping onto an NFL field, Sanders made history, shattering records with an unprecedented $15 million in jersey sales. That's right, before his first official snap, his name alone became one of the most bankable assets in football. For decades, rookies, especially those drafted outside the first round, were expected to earn their stripes quietly, slowly, and without major financial power. Sanders has obliterated that model. In a league where jersey sales often reflect stardom, he's showing that star power can be built as much off the field as on it. His rise is a direct challenge to the system, proving that marketability is no longer tied to draft position. It's tied to vision. But Sanders isn't satisfied with just jersey revenue. He's been named an ambassador for AT&T, using one of the world's biggest communication platforms to amplify his reach. In a recent interview, Sanders didn't mince words. Sports is a business, and he's here to treat it that way. For him, it's not just about grinding on Sundays. It's about producing value every day of the week. By diversifying his earnings across apparel, endorsements, and innovative partnerships, Sanders has established himself as both quarterback and entrepreneur. He hasn't placed all his eggs in one basket. Instead, he's building an empire brick by brick. On the field, he's chasing wins. Off the field, he's crafting a legacy of business dominance. Together, those twin ambitions make Shedeur Sanders something rare in the modern NFL, a player who is not only part of the league, but actively reshaping its future.
Sports is a business, so you gotta understand it's not personal, it's more business, and you gotta be able to produce. When you stop producing, then it's like, what are you around for? So you gotta always keep that first and understand that.
Shedeur Sanders has proven himself to be far more than a quarterback prospect. He's a marketing phenomenon. The numbers he's generating aren't just impressive, they're transformative. For the Cleveland Browns, this isn't only about touchdowns and passing yards. This is about an institution realizing the value of a brand that can shift the entire trajectory of their franchise. Owners, executives, and decision-makers can't ignore what they're seeing. When they look at Sanders, they don't just see potential on the field. They see dollar signs, ticket sales, jersey sellouts, and a surge of national attention that money alone can't buy. If Sanders takes the field as a starter, he brings more than arm talent. He brings fans, eyeballs, and the kind of media frenzy that can reshape a franchise overnight. With his image rights firmly in his possession, he holds something few rookies ever do: leverage. Every strong performance increases his value, not just in football terms, but in negotiations, in sponsorships, and in the overall weight he carries inside the organization. That leverage could soon translate into not only a stronger contract, but also increased playing time, forcing the Browns' hand. Reports have already begun surfacing that the franchise is quietly pushing to elevate him ahead of other candidates, not merely for football reasons, but because of the immense PR power he represents. For Cleveland, the calculation is simple. Shedeur Sanders isn't just an athlete, he's a walking economy. His presence generates buzz, drives partnerships, and redefines the team's identity in the marketplace. The Browns understand what's at stake. Starting Sanders could do more than win games. It could rebrand an entire franchise, turning them into one of the NFL's most marketable teams overnight. And that's why, whether it's now or later, his rise to being the face of this team feels less like a question and more like an inevitability.
I thought he was a solid B prospect, crazy accurate, bad offensive line in college, no run game, and against good teams was always productive without a lot of mistakes.
Shedeur Sanders has always made it clear his vision extends far beyond the boundaries of a football field. Yes, he's building businesses, brands, and wealth at a staggering pace. But in his own words, success only matters if it's shared. To Sanders, true greatness lies not just in accumulation, but in distribution, using his platform to lift those around him. One of the most defining moments of his young career came in the aftermath of the Rainbow apartment fire, a tragedy that shook an entire community. For most, a large donation would have been enough. A press release, a signature on a check, a publicized act of charity. But Sanders refused to take the easy way out. It would be much better for me to go to the people myself, help them out, and cheer them up, he said. And that's exactly what he did. Instead of staying in the spotlight at the prestigious ESPY Awards, where the biggest names in sports gathered to celebrate their own achievements, Sanders walked away, choosing instead to stand shoulder to shoulder with victims in their darkest hour. This wasn't a PR move. It was a deeply personal decision, one that revealed how he views his responsibility. For Sanders, financial support matters, but presence, empathy, and human connection matter just as much. In that moment, he showed the world that his empire isn't built on profits alone. It's built on purpose. That balance has defined his rise. After signing his groundbreaking Nike deal, one of the first of its kind for a non-NFL athlete, Sanders didn't stop at endorsements. He turned momentum into a diversified portfolio. Partnerships with AT&T, EA Sports, and Brady, his own apparel line, even a barbecue sauce brand that connects back to his roots. Each move strengthened his marketability, solidifying him as one of the most influential young athletes of this generation. And yet, the money hasn't blinded him. Sanders continues to direct a significant portion of his earnings back into communities in need, ensuring that his success is tied to impact, not just income. He's setting a new blueprint, one where athletes are more than performers. They're business leaders, cultural icons, and agents of change. So, the question becomes, what does Shedeur Sanders represent to the modern era of sports? Is he simply a quarterback chasing greatness, or the model for a new kind of athlete, one who blends performance, business, and community into a single, unstoppable force? And perhaps most importantly, should others follow his lead? Because if Sanders continues on this path, his legacy won't just be measured in passing yards or championships. It will be measured in lives touched, communities rebuilt, and the new standard he's setting for what it means to truly harness the power of platform. Do you see Shedeur Sanders as the future of sports and business combined? Or is he something even bigger, an athlete redefining the very role of what it means to lead in today's world?